Okay, a quick video to document something I picked up at the Guitar Center at at Sam Ash, at a pretty insane price. It still may be out there. So they are selling leftover, I think 2015, I'll double check and look below for the answer. Gibson CMs. It's a cool, funky model. It's one of those when they were trying to do some cheaper Les Pauls. But it is leftover, but new in box, and the price was insane. It was on sale for $3.99, and they had a coupon and a discount, and I got it for $3.40 new with warranty, a real Gibson. I own a dozen Gibsons now, but the thought of having another one, much less the thought of one new in box, still makes me go a little weak. So I will take you along for the ride of opening this, checking it out. What happened briefly is that at Sam Ash, I wanted to buy the guitar. I actually set it up and intonated it and made the action right on their little bench. And they told me they couldn't find the case. And they offered to give me 20 bucks off for buying it with no case, including no charger for the tuners, no papers. That didn't seem like a good idea to me. So they said that they would send me one from their warehouse. So if this one is not as nice as the one that's hanging in their store, hopefully they'll trade me. But we shall find out. They were supposedly sending me one that was absolutely new in box. And while a lot of this taping looks like it's new, this piece of tape does not. So let's get into it and see what we find. It's so funny. I've done this a million times. It's always someone else's name, not mine on the papers. In this case, my wife's. Somehow my wife is the person whose name is on my Sam Ash account, not mine. All right, let's pause while I get it out of the box. Okay, this is so exciting. It's like 2016 all over again. Back in the Gibson Pure days and the E-Tuner days. All right, we have Gibson in a gig bag. Boy, those were not good old days, were they? Your fancy premium guitar is now coming to you in a gig bag. Just trying to figure out if this has been out of the box. It looks like it might not have. All right, let's lift and separate here. I'll wear through on the case here. We've got some G-force information. Ah, that's nice. It has the original picture at the Gibson factory. I think this is so cool when they do this. So it's a picture of the guitar sitting on a tech's desk as they set it up at Gibson. This has been sitting in the box for over 3 years, since July of 2015. Since it was last packed and inspected. But it is nice to have all the papers. Let's see what we get. I'm not used to the set of stuff that comes with an E-Tune guitar. I'm used to, as I say, the set of swag. It's a G-force tuner. I am actually okay with G-force tuning. I don't like the idea of it being foisted upon people. There's an owner's manual. It's nice to have faux papers. There's the E-Tune charger and the different international adapters. I will probably need to get that out because the battery is almost assuredly dead since it's been sitting in here for 3.5 years. All right, let's open it up. All right. Now, the two things that can make Gibsons not work for me are when the setup has more room on one side of the strings than the other. This is pretty close, it's not bad. The next question is going to be if I can get the action low enough. We'll have to see. All right, let's get it on the bench. Okay, let's take a look at what we have here. We have the headstock with a nice kind of inlaid CM plate. The fret ends are a little bit sprouty, which you might expect given it's been drying for 3.5 years. They'll file down pretty nicely. The finish on this wood, I have to find out what kind of wood it is. It's interesting. It's light and dark in turn. You have these little witch hat knobs, master volume, master tone, one pickup, a compensated tailpiece. But I'll tell you, this is a nice guitar. I mean, for being, you know, super basic, I think it's very cool. It's got a neat vibe, and it's a Gibson. Let's take a look around the back. You've got the plastic pickguard satin finish. And of course, your G-Force tuners. Now, on these models of G-Force, I don't believe I can just pull out and tune manually. I am pretty certain that I have to plug this guy in. So let's plug it in and then come back. Let's quick look at the swag we've got. We've got a truss rod wrench and an Allen key. We have the G-Force International tuner, which is good from 100 to 240 volts, and a bunch of international power adapters. We can play Name That Country. That's the US one that I'm looking for. That's Britain. This is Europe. And this is some weird Chinese countries, I think. This is someplace that I have never been, so I don't need that one. But I do find myself in Britain and Europe and the US, of course. So let's go ahead and put this together. Snap that in. So another quick look at the swag we have. They sweat the details. Well, Henry J. did. My owner's manual. I love the picture. I think that's a cool thing to do. My gold warranty. It's amazing at this price. Remember, I'm at like $330 all in. I have the full new purchaser warranty. All right. Take a look at the serial number. We've got 150079900. I like that number. A lot of 2 zeros, 2 nines, 2 zeros. Let's visually inspect this battery. It's been sitting in here an awful long time. Let's make sure it's not bloated or leaking. I have others, but it looks pretty good. All right, so let's fire it up. Where does this go in? The battery comes out. I forgot. The battery comes out and fastens in to the battery like this. And I guess there are no indicator lights. Got a green light. All right. I guess that green light will change to some other color when it's charged. Let's see, if I unplug it, I get a green light. Plug it in. Okay. Now it's properly plugged in. I get the red light. So we're plugged in. We're waiting to get started. So the main test as to whether this guitar will be as nice as the one that was in the store is whether the action will go low enough to really be set up well. The action is monstrously high now. Let's take it down to the workbench and, while the battery's charging, and take a look at exactly how high. Okay, while that other battery is charging, I just grabbed a battery out of the traditional solid mahogany model. So let's throw that in. Let's see if it comes to life. All right. Power. Life and tuning. I may have to go in and find the specific key sequence for stringing all the way up. I know there's a separate mode for putting new strings on. Yeah, it's just hunting around in its range. All right, back to the manual to figure out how the string up mode works. How in this modern world of user interface design could they have something that says push the on button 4 times and push enter twice? What the heck is that? But anyway, that's how you enter string up mode. So once you've entered that, you can manually go through the strings and then for each one, wind it manually up and down, or wind it, you know, kind of force it to electronically wind it up and down until it gets near pitch, and then it'll tune. So now we are actually in close enough tune. We're good, we are in tune. All right, so let's take a look at how high this action is. So we're at the 12th fret. Let's do it in mils. It's 1 point. It's about between 2 and 2 1/4 on the high E. On the low E, it's 2 1/2, 2 3/4. The action's way too high. All right, let's see how low we can drop it. By the way, for metal on metal, I like to use these. These are gunsmithing screwdrivers made by Grace. They're just nice. They're sharp. They fit properly for this kind of work. This is a really nice fit. And let's see how low we can drop it. Okay, we may be entering problem territory here. I just took that screw down as far as it goes. And let's look at the action height we have. We have between 1.75 and 2, which is kind of just at the high side of what I would consider playable, or at least how I like my guitars set up, about 1.75 on that side. Let's see what it feels like. Honestly, I really wish the guitars were set up that I could lower it as much as I would like. And then, this is odd too. Look how this pick guard is. Look how the pickup ring here is like a little bit curved. It's funny. I wonder if is there plastic coating on that? Just dirty? Huh. We'll figure that out in a second. Well, because I've changed the bridge height, we gotta tune it again. So let's turn it on and tune it. All right, we're tuned. Okay, I really can't play it to see if I like it with this much fret sprout. I'm gonna very quickly hit it with just this little file here, just right on the very edge like this, just a few times on both sides to take off the fret sprout. Okay, 10 minutes of filing later, I've not really redressed, but just taken off the worst of the fret sprout around those fret ends. I've left a little bit of mess with the little filings that have come off. Admiring this finish while I've been doing that. It's a satin finish, obviously, and you can really see the contours of the wood nicely. This screams that it would soak up and look great with some crimson guitar oil to finish this. And so I'm about to head out to Spain. And I think what I will do is before I leave, I'm gonna hit probably just the body with some crimson guitar oil and kind of gloss it up because I think it'll look great. The frets are a million times better now, by the way. I can do this without wiping my hand out. All right, let's, what I really need are some Q-tips to get the worst of those filings out. See, that's the end of my, the former end of my frets. Right now, little metal filings sitting there. So we'll clean this up and come back at you. Okay, I've filed down the fret ends to get rid of the sprout. I've just hit it with some preservation polish that I haven't done yet evenly. That's a StewMac product that I like for just cleaning. When you file the fret ends down, you get little metal file residue all over the guitar. But oh my gosh, this feels so much better. Like if I did that a second ago, I would have torn up both sides. I don't really blame Gibson for that. I mean, they didn't expect to sit in a box for 2.5 years shrinking. I just checked one other thing I'll do here, and maybe I should have just stopped and done a full setup, but the neck relief is a little too large. The neck's bowed a little more than I like it. So just to, can't really show you here, but if I'm gonna have to, I'll measure it. So we can see what things look like in the truss rod cavity here. Interesting, it's a black nut. Now this is really interesting. You see at the side where the nut has been shaved off. This is something that people have seen sometimes. It happens at the factory when that side was facing up when they machined the headstock to put the Holly laminate on, and it shaved off a little piece of the nut. People see that sometimes on Gibsons where they'll take off a diagonal section of the nut like that. And if you were to rotate this nut counterclockwise, this face that's shaved off here would be perfectly perpendicular with the angled back headstock. All right, let's go get a wrench. Okay, just a summary of where we are. We have charged and tuned the guitar. We have lowered the action height. We have filed down the fret ends so they don't sprout. We've taken some bow out of the neck, so there's just a tiny bit of relief. Everything's looking, and now we've polished and cleaned everything up. So I think it's time to play it and see where that takes us. Okay, hello, let's see how this thing sounds. I have it fired through the Boss Katana on the clean setting. Now what's interesting, because I've lowered the action to, well, really where I like to play it, this pickup is awfully close to the strings, and so you'll see at full volume, it drives the clean sound into a pretty good amount of gain. Let's back the tone off. It'll be interesting to see if there's a circuit board or just a couple of pots under there. It seems like the circuit board wouldn't be appropriate, and it wouldn't make sense to do a one-off circuit board for this one pickup model. Okay, okay, this is now the katana on the brown default preset. Is worse about having the G-force tuners rather than the integrated tuners is that if I want to tune, you hear the tuning, so you really have to turn the volume down, then hit it, and let it tune. These strings are still new, so they're stretching, so the tuning stability is not what it will be in a little while after I put new strings on it, and they are. It doesn't really want to tune the D string. Having trouble with finding tuning on the D. Now it has. It really does sound good. That's it. I just really wanted to unbox this. So the verdict is that I am keeping this instance of the instrument. I wish the neck angle were a little bit more aggressive so that I could really lower it all the way down to the strings and then raise it to my preferred height, which might be just a little bit less than it is now, but it's close enough. This instance, compared to the one that was sitting at the Sam Ash, the one at the Sam Ash, the strings were like pushed over, sort of like that. Just a tiny bit. And to me, if the gap between the strings and the end of the fretboard here and the strings and the end of the fretboard here is not equal, it drives me crazy. So much so that on some of my Les Pauls, I've cut special nut slots to move the strings over so that they're perfectly aligned with the fretboard. This is good in that regard. It gets low enough. It looks good and sounds good. These knobs should be replaced. These cheap witch hat knobs should probably go, but other than that, this is really an awesome beast for the price.